Hi guys, it's Andy from mcfcfantv, and welcome to this. Sorry, I had a bit of a problem with my headphones there. right as I was about to go live, so I've removed them. So hopefully the sound is all right. But anyway, welcome to this vlog, live vlog. All a bit rushed. I do apologise, but obviously the news has broken that Manchester City have said no, and they're pulling out of the European or proposed European Super League. So, Tom, what are your thoughts?
Relieved, very relieved. You know, the past 48 hours has been a whirlwind for football, a whirlwind for fans and whirlwind for everybody involved in it. You know, it's been the highs and the lows in the past, 48 hours from, thinking that the club's going to get, taken away to this new league where it's not going to be the same, and now they've made a U-turn and they've seen sense, and the protests, although in COVID times, is obviously it's worked. It really has worked, and I'm over the moon that Chelsea and Man City are the first two that have managed to see sense. And obviously the breaking news in the past few minutes that Ed Woodward's left Manchester United as well. So there's a lot of people seeing sense here and going against the owners and the people who are trying to push this forward.
Yeah, so in that interesting news there that Ed Woodward and Agnelli has resigned as the president of Juventus. So that goes to show you that some of the forerunners to this competition, after resigning their places with the ECA, have now resigned as president of Juventus. Woodward has left United. Now we'll see what Daniel Levy and Cazidis and the others do with Spurs and Arsenal. Obviously, City and Chelsea. It looks like there's no statement so far coming in. I am getting messages left, right, and centre, but there is no statement, official statement, coming from Manchester City right now. This is all over Sky Sports and all over social media on there. But then, obviously, that leaves Liverpool as well. So it's going to be really interesting, the fact that Agnelli has resigned from Juventus as their president, and Ed Woodward has resigned from Manchester United. I'm sure a lot of United fans will be really pleased about that. Anyway, even though he commercially he does very, very well. But anyway, it's fantastic news. It's like the thumbnail says, this has got to be down to fan pressure. We know. We discussed it last night in the full vlog on there that, City and Chelsea were the last ones sort of brought to the table last week. It was all a bit rushed. And for whatever reason, the wrong reasons, they seem to jump on board with it. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the likes of the other clubs do. But let's just see who's on. Socky says yes. King FIFA says yes. And he says he's buzzing. And he's also shared the stream. Thank you. Martin's on. Get in, boys. Absolutely. Big Morgan. Hi, boys. Everyone normal again. It blew over. I think there's going to be more to it, Big Morgan. I'll be honest with you. I'm hearing Ed Woodward resigned. Yeah, that seems to be official. Come on, boys. It was all fake news. It was not fake news. There's no way in a million years City will put out fake news. Not on that magnitude. But I did put some stuff out this morning on social media about UEFA and things like that. So maybe go over and read that. Maybe we'll have time to talk about it. Vinny Reid, amazing news, everyone else. Oh, sorry. Ed Woodward steps down as executive vice chairman. That's just coming through. Yeah, so maybe I need to sort of silence my phone.
It's just come through on mine as well, but mine's on silent.
Yeah, it's going to go mental. Everyone needs to do the same thing immediately. Yeah, it says executive vice chairman Ed Woodward has resigned from his role after the collapse of the European Super League. Well, I'm not sure where it's collapsed yet. Still, nobody else has left except for City and Chelsea. But it'll be interesting to see if anyone else follows suit. Charlie's on. City. I love this club. Didn't love it last night, I'll be honest with you. Buffini says, so happy we as a club have done the right thing at last, but this should never have happened, Andy. but I have lost a trust with our owners on this. Look forward to a good stream. Yes, I have lost a little bit of faith, but I did say last night, I think we need to hear the reasons behind it. And I'll talk a little bit about that if I remember to. Before I emailed the local council to stop Super League, now I feel embarrassed as soon as I heard the news. Ronnie's on Evening Blues. Do we think Pep's presser did the job? Listen, I'm sure there was a discussion with the club. I mean, Pep said, to be honest, Pep said in his presser about, I don't really know much about it. Come on. If you've got Cheeky and Ferran and the relationship with Khaldoon and Pep, you're telling me that he didn't have any wind of this? I don't believe that for a minute. I don't think that the club, the owner and Khaldoon in particular, and Ferran, and Berardi, whoever, will just suddenly throw this on Pep Sunday morning. I don't believe that for a second, because this has been months and months and months in the making. Yeah. Maybe there's a reason behind it. Maybe there's a reason behind why they joined. And that's something I did put in a 5-6 point thing on Twitter today as this morning, why I thought maybe they've joined it. This is a victory for football's civil rights. I think it's football wins. Beavers, I reckon it's Chelsea fans and us football fans. Let us win the league now. Let's hope so. Sorry, that was my message before. Ravenglass Rock says, we've all got our club back. I'm assuming that is. Man City fan says, Andy, will you celebrate with red blue? What? With red blue? I don't know. Oh, Red Bull. Red Bull. No, don't drink that garbage, mate. Just peeping in the door. Is there anyone there? Yeah, we're here, mate. Yes, it's right. Ed Woodward has gone. I'm here, Blue Heart. Are the crazy mamas playing out? Fans 1, greed 0, says Martin. Good shout. Stingy says, this is all thanks to the amazing Man City fans, players and Pep Guardiola, not the owners. Mansour was right to make a U-turn, but now he needs to go.
No way. Why are people...
Come on. Wow. Come on. Wow. Okay, before we get into some of the other comments, Stingy says, I still think City needs to be punished, though, and I'm a City fan. Well, you're clearly not a City fan.
No.
You can't be Stingy. You cannot be a City fan if you believe. My thoughts on it, I posted it this morning on Twitter, and after reading lots of different bits and pieces and all sorts of stuff on there, let me just see if I can bring it up. Just see. Here we go. I posted on an article on here, and it was after Alan sent me a video that had just come out, and I was just watching it, and it was about Sky. It was on Sky and everything else. But I put one. UEFA have been obtrusive with Champions League teams for years. We know that. They want to keep the lion's share of money brought in by commercial revenue generated by the clubs, the main clubs. What is UEFA's outgoings? And why do they need so much of the cup? Number 2, they've decided on more games for the 2024 season, and clubs don't want it. They've clearly said for months they don't want that. 3, the Dirty Dozen seem quiet. Are they waiting for UEFA to evidence their intentions, then tell the world their true plans to force UEFA to change? 4, are UEFA and FIFA worthy of running football for profit? Why not an independent, non-profit organisation? And 5, is this the Dirty Dozen clubs playing the long game and forcing changes to UEFA, who, without these clubs, won't make anywhere near the profit they've made from football? Maybe we'll see. And for me, I've gradually over the day started thinking, well, maybe that's why there's been no announcements made. Maybe City have been forced in the back door at the last minute, like Chelsea, and sort of given the option to join and thought, shit, well, if we don't join, then we're going to be left out in the cold. That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right whatsoever in my book. But was this a big push, and will we see all the other clubs now just pull away from this, or have they already had a meeting with UEFA? because it does seem to me the more and more that this has gone on over the last 48 hours has been about the clubs. Klopp said it. Pep said it today. And these are the two big managers in the Premier League have both said, listen, UEFA make loads of money out of this. They don't listen to us. We've said, we talked about Lewandowski in his interview, being forced to go on international duty, getting injured, then misses the quarterfinals of the Champions League because of more UEFA competitions that are not necessary and friendlies, and they don't listen to us. And maybe the clubs have done this in a way. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm totally being naive, and maybe there was nasty intentions. I don't know, Tom. What were your thoughts?
I don't know. It's there's a lot of people saying that in the comments that we had a financial problems and stuff like that. But it's one of those things. I can't see that being a thing. There is a lot of things that have been saying that City and Chelsea, or if we're looking at a City side, we were sort of pushed into it, as you said, Andy. As a thing overall, the financial side of it, I can't see where that would come into problem. Obviously, this obviously Super League was obviously going to give a lot of money, but that wasn't the point. It was the point of going away from all the leagues and making it a thing that wasn't relegation, and you couldn't win it, and you couldn't even get promoted. And obviously that thing with obviously UEFA with the games.
You gone. Can't hear you.
Have I gone? I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
You went a minute there.
Yeah, so
about UEFA in the games.
Yeah. So I was saying, UEFA in the games, they've been trying to do this for a few years now with them, trying to get these games added in, and the big clubs have said no, haven't they? And it's one of them with obviously UEFA. It's interesting to see. I think Alan also sent me something about obviously which breaking down how much profit the clubs make off UEFA's things, and it's only like 20% of the 70% revenue or something crazy, And when you look at it like that as well, maybe the financial side is a problem, but overall, it's just great that this decision's come, that we've made the U-turn, and the owners have seen sense, because I think in a business money can get to some people's heads quicker than the actual thought of the idea and the consequences, and I think that's what's happened to a few of the clubs. They've seen the money and they've not actually seen the consequences it could actually bring. And I believe that the fan power and the publicity, the likes of Gary Neville have done to, share the fans' view on social media and on Sky Sports and stuff. I think it's all coming to one to actually make people realise that this is just, a complete stupid idea. And, it'll be interesting to see if this, 38 team or 36 teams coming into the Champions League, if that format comes in, we'll see what happens with that. But at the moment, I can't see that happening. I really can't.
Well, there needs to be a reset with the UEFA. There clearly needs to be. There's lots of people on here. Get in there, says Sean. Peter says, will the Sheikh walk away from our club now? And if he does, what will happen to our club?
He's not going to walk.
He's not going to walk. He could quite easily have just stayed in this European Super League at the end of the day. There was a brilliant article. I did retweet it this morning. I did tweet it on Twitter from Martin Samuel, and it was a really, really long article that he posted this morning in the Daily Mail. And as you know, Martin Samuel's been a big, massive fan of Man City, but in there he did make some absolutely brilliant points. The top and bottom of it is the clubs are absolutely pissed off with UEFA. UEFA are taking a massive lion's share for doing very little, very little. We know what FIFA have done. We know how corrupt that's evidenced by jail terms for individual members involved in FIFA. UEFA have not covered themselves in glory. And for me, when they take 3.3 billion every year, and you think that a small percentage of that is going to the clubs, it makes you wonder why clubs don't go to UEFA, or they have done in the past and said, we want more. Now, people say that's greedy, but at the end of the day, why UEFA a profit organisation? It should be independently run by a non-profit organisation, and the money should then. Or you think of the money that UEFA make from it, the profits they make. I mean, we saw Sepp Blatter with 10 million, 20 million pound artworks in his office, and why should somebody just all he does is swan around world football clubs, getting wined and dined and whatever else? Why should they be making so much money out of the game? Surely they're there as bastions of the game to put money back into grassroots and give some of it back. Why do they need to keep £1 billion of euros every year as profit for their organisation? So there's no need for it. And you can see the clubs over years and years and years have been pushing, albeit for money, but not only money, but also we don't want another 7 games we have to play each season in your new stupid competition. We don't want that. None of the managers want it. They've said it for months and years. And maybe this was a bluff. I don't know.
No, yeah.
Sounds of it, it doesn't sound like it was a bluff because we'll wait and see what's going to happen next. But I think owners have probably finally had enough of UEFA not listening. I still don't think it's the right thing. If they would have set up their own European competition to rival the Champions League, probably we would still be in the same position with being kicked out of the Premier League and whatever else, international football threats and all sorts of things. But I mean, the rumours were this morning that next week's Champions League and Europa League games would definitely go ahead. They wouldn't be stopped. So I don't know. I just think it's a good day, and I think it's great that the tribalism amongst fans generally, on the whole, still some of it, but on the whole has stopped, and everyone has come out and just said, even the fans of the clubs like ours, like United's, like Liverpool's, Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, the fans have come out and just said, no way, this is just wrong. It's moralistically wrong. So I think it's great. I think it's absolutely brilliant. But until we know the truth, until we know what's been said, because we've heard nothing from the club, it still leaves a bitter taste in my mouth that our club, a community club that we've been accused of today as not being, which is totally wrong, went and did that. I don't know. While I'm looking at the comments, have your say, mate?
Yeah. There's always that, in the back of the mind, that's always going to be there. The fact that they actually considered it, the fact that they were actually going to accept the fact of leaving all these competitions behind and leaving the English footballing pyramid behind. Obviously, the best footballing pyramid in the world, the English one, because you have all the different competitions where all different teams can play each other, no matter how financially backed you are, or the size of your club. And the fact that we're going to walk away from that is still in the back of my mind. I must admit, obviously I couldn't come on last night because it was later and I was working. But this time yesterday, I was thinking about walking away from City if it was going to go ahead. Not watch them as much, not even associate myself with them as much. And but now it's a completely different story. But there's always going to be that thing in the back of your mind if something like this does come again. Silly that I can't. It puts me off seeing those get shit man saw out the club comments. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
I'm not even
no, but yeah, and obviously I'm just happy. I'm just happy that it's the fans and the fan power. Everybody's come together. I know a lot of fans from different clubs. And at work we have a United fan and then a diehard Spurs fan as well. And they've both said today that before obviously this news that they wouldn't be taking any interest in football anymore if it happens. So, they're obviously still, waiting for it to obviously get pulled out of it. But, it's with 2 clubs already starting it, within the space of 5 minutes of each other. I think we'd obviously planned it a little bit before and was obviously waiting for somebody else to strike first by the sounds of it. But yeah, we've done a good thing, and being one of the first ones to do it is what you want, because it shows that it's just intent of actually not wanting to be in it. If you're gonna after the first three, or a certain amount, if you're near the end, or you're still in it, and then they say it's collapsed, then that shows you that the intent was still there. I think it was one of the clubs who was hidden. One of the clubs who was hidden of the top six, saying this is a nuclear war now. That's obviously one of the last four that's still in it. So we can gather that there's a certain owner of a certain club in these last four clubs out of Man United, Arsenal, Spurs, and Liverpool that were genuinely wanting this to go through, and that's also going to be a concern to any of the clubs that are still as it stands, as we're speaking this evening, Andy, are still in this Super League and going.
I mean, they're on screen. Charlie says breaking. Real Madrid are now close to leaving the Super League.
You see, if they leave it, I reckon that's it then completely, because he's the man who's trying to run it all, isn't he? That's his club, Real Madrid's his club, and he's a complete tool. I'm not going to swear, but I really would like to use a lot more stronger words to him. But yeah, if they go, I reckon that everything's going to collapse. The sinking ship, the corrupt sinking ship, will have sunk completely, which is what we want. And obviously, last night, you guys won't know who were watching. I bought a T-shirt. I designed it all, and I bought it last night, saying
all of that,
saying no to the ESL. With a big thing, and it says "Football is for the fans" on the back. It was supposed to be delivered between one or 2 days. I'll have to wear it if I'm on Thursday night, just for the jokes. Yeah. But it's memorabilia now. I'll have to get it plaqued, get it framed.
Let's see what's in this. Diamond Time says our club has been stained by this. I don't doubt that for a second. If Khaldoon is a man of integrity or what? Thank you for the super chat, Kamal. I'm not sure I can agree with that right at this moment in time, because I would, like I mentioned earlier, and probably you may have done that before I mentioned it. I'd like to see what the full picture and the full story was behind this. It seems very strange that in 24 hours, the likes of Chelsea and City are walking away from it. Now Real Madrid could walk away from it, and the others, and all of these execs have resigned. And these are all the people, the Agnellis, the Ed Woodwards, who was on behalf of Joe Glazer and everything else. They're the big P players in this, and John W. Henry, and we'll see what the Liverpool execs do as well. So it'll be really interesting. Now, here's a shout out for you. It's entirely up to you. If you want to join us right now live, you've got about 5 minutes to email me at mcfcfantv@gmail.com. I have put it in the description below. I am going to keep my email open for 5 minutes only. If you are a fan and you think you want to come on and you want to have your say, as long as you're not, trolling, otherwise we'll just remove you immediately anyway. But if you want to come on and you want to have your say, all you have to do is send me an email to mcfcfantv@gmail.com. I'll reply back with a link, and you can come and join us now for 5 minutes, because we've got about another, 20 minutes or so. So if you want to come and have your say, it's entirely, the gauntlet is over to you. Lots of people like to have their say. They like to have their say, don't they? Let's see if they'll come on camera and have their say about it, especially those who want Khaldoon to walk. Come on.
Exactly.
Come on and tell us your reasons. I mean, everyone's got an opinion, and we have to be respectful of that.
The flat cap's been handed over. The flat cap's been handed over.
Yeah, it's all over. Yeah, it's over to you guys. The reason behind why they joined was that you'll see today. We broke them from within. Masterstroke City says, one chop your dick off. Calm down. You don't know who did what in this whole situation. I'll wait till all the evidence in before I make any judgment. Absolutely, section. I think we said that last night. I don't know whether you're referring to somebody else on here. But we said it. I'd like to hear from Khaldoon. I'd like to hear from the club. I'd like to hear from Chelsea. I'd like to hear what was said if Real Madrid have walked away. I'd like to know the promises that have been made by the Glazers and J.W. Henry. That's what John Henry, I would like to know, because these are the two driving forces for me behind this European Super League. Man United and Liverpool. And I'd like to know what was promised and what was on the table, because by the sounds of it, Pep said today, he didn't even have a clue what it's about. So there's no, oh, this is what it's going to be, and it's going to be this format, and it just seems like, if this has been going on allegedly, there's been images today in the media, the mainstream media, saying this was the picture in 2017 with the likes of Agnelli and J.W. Henry and Joel Glazer and Ed Woodward and everything around a table at an Italian restaurant in New York City. This was, they think, the moment where they hatched the plan for this European Super League. And like I said, I don't mind a cartel group challenging UEFA. We know what UEFA have done to us. I don't mind that. And let's face it, clubs have challenged UEFA on so many occasions, none more than Manchester City over the FFP thing, and they just will not relent on it. They just think, no, it's our competition, and we are just do what we want to do, and we will make as much money out of this as we want to make. So the clubs at some point are going to push back on this. Has it been done in the right way? I don't think it has. What I would like to have done is for those clubs to have made a public announcement 6 months ago to say, we've all come together as chairmans and owners and whatever else. And unless UEFA change, and unless UEFA start giving us, and be honest, but start giving us a bigger cut of the pie, after all of the revenue we bring in as the biggest 12 clubs in Europe, compared to what anyone else brings UEFA, unless UEFA start giving more money to us, which we will give a 25% stake to the lower leagues of each of our divisions to go into grassroots football and lower league footballs and things like that, then we will look at forming our own Super League. Now, if they did that open and honestly, I'm sure most fans would look at the evidence and then go, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, what the legalities of that would be, I have no idea. But that is much better than what's happened.
100%.
It's sneaky, especially what's happened to I don't care about Spurs and Arsenal. They're two who should be lucky that they even got asked to go to the table. Yeah. Liverpool United, very disgusted in, because they are the bastions of the Premier League, and they themselves claim it, and their fans claim that they're just history FC, and City have got no history and everything else. But I'm disappointed with everything that Manchester City have done, against UEFA. And the fans have had to put up so much grief, and what they've done for the local community. And the words, there was a brilliant David Walker. If you want to go over onto Twitter, David Walker put on his Twitter account it was a Facebook post, and it was a letter to Sheikh Mansour, or it was a letter to Khaldoon. And you need to go over, if you go over and type in David Walker at Man City, he's called Sky Blue, I think. I can't remember. I do apologise, David, if you are watching. Maybe you can put your Twitter account in. I am sorry. I think it just came to mind then. But let me just see if I can find his. Oh, it's here. I'll give it you now. It is at DJW Sky Blue, as in BLU. So at DJW Sky BLU. It's called David. It's David Walker, and it's an open letter to City chairman. Now, David Walker is a writer, also is a consultant, author, and he's responsible for Read but Never Read, if you know what that is, .com. And he wrote a marvelous letter in there. And one of the things he did quote in that article was what Sheikh Mansour said when he came in and bought Manchester City, which was absolutely. It summed it up for me when I read it, and this is what it said, and this is what hurt me more than anything until the latest news. And I'll read a little bit. So I'm giving a shout out here to David Walker. I apologise if I'm reading your Facebook, but I am trying to promote it. Read, never read. Read but never read, as in read, but never read as in United.com. And on his there, he said, let the words of Sheikh Mansour resonate like never before, just as they did in 2008, when he pulled City back from the brink of the abyss. And in quotes, he said, I am a football fan, and I hope that you will soon see that I'm now also a Manchester City fan. But I am also a long-term investor, and that is probably more important to the club and to you, because it means we are here for the long haul, and that we will act always in the best interests of the club and all of its stakeholders, but especially you, the fans. And that was Manchester City's Sheikh Mansour's address to Manchester City supporters in a letter soon after the takeover. And his final words were, please, Khaldoon, demonstrate to us that you truly are the man who we all believe you are to be, and just walk away from this abhorrent distortion of the beautiful game by David Walker. And when I read that, I just thought, that hurt more than anything, because this was our owner telling all the fans that, you know, and then we saw the evidence of what happened with Khaldoon and what happened with Sheikh Mansour, and the money and the infrastructure and the local community projects and the colleges and the schools and the £1 billion, investment in Manchester City Council and what they're doing around the surrounding. And you just think that really hurt, because that was a vision that was sold to us as fans, that, you know, here's an overseas owner wanting to be local, wanting to understand what the fans were all about. So I'm so pleased today. Tom, go for it. Have your say, whatever you've got to say, mate, because I'm just going to say we've got a few people who actually want to come on.
Well, that's good then. It's always nice to hear other people's opinions. But yeah, it's just relief more than anything for me overall. You know, I've been waking up the past 2 days thinking, is this a dream? Is football finally going to go? You know, especially for me personally, supporting City as a season ticket holder. If everything was normal, it would have been my 16th year this year, and you know, so many good memories going to lower league clubs, going, to Wembley, going everywhere with them, and you know, it was very, very close to being ruined by greed and a business proposition that was all about money and not about the fans. And in the past hour, that's changed, and I can't tell you how thankful I am and how relieved I am. I've never felt so distanced from City ever. In the last 48 hours since the last 48 hours I have done. And, you know, it would have felt, if it had gone through, I would have obviously taken a step back from watching them. It had felt like something had just, something had been lost in life. But thank the Lord, they've listened to the fans, and, you know, I just, and it just shows you, no matter what rivalry is in football, when something like this has happened, rivalries have meant nothing, because every single fan of a football club in this country and in the world, it goes to the games for one thing, and that is for that ball and those 22 players playing for 90 minutes. That is the only thing that matters for them on that day. That's the only thing in common that these people, that we all have in common. You know, we love City. And everybody loves their football clubs, and you know, it's a great day for football, and the fans have won. And now we've got a guest, so I'll hand back over to you, Andy.
Yeah, well, we invited people on. We had 3 requests. One of them I had to sort of ask about their age, but I'm not sure I needed to ask for this particular person. It's Paul Stedall. So, Paul, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you, Andy. How's things?
Yeah, good. What? I mean, God, what a 24, 48 hours we've had. What are your thoughts on the whole thing?
I'll tell you what, you know, I've been speaking to loads of people, spoke to Evertonian fans, Spurs fans, Leeds fans, United fans. You know, I've never known anything like it. I was absolutely devastated. I was just gobsmacked, Andy. You know, Tom. Yeah, you know, we've seen relegations, we've seen promotions, we've seen managers come, we've seen managers go. You know, when Swales was there, when Franny was fighting to take over the club, we thought the promised land was coming then, and it didn't happen. You know, and then these guys came along and they promised so much and they delivered. You know, we got Pep, the best manager in the world. And then I just feel as though like we're just like suddenly been stabbed in the back and I was gobsmacked. I thought, you go to your mates and they say, well, one day they'll turn around and they'll just dump you and walk away with the money. They don't give a toss about the club and stuff like that. And you think, no, these guys are different. They're not United owners. They're not Liverpool owners. These guys are different. Look what they've done to Manchester. Look what they've done to the club and stuff like that. And then for this to happen, I've never been so devastated as a City fan. It's just shook me. It really did. And obviously I live here in Nottingham, and I've got Forest fans. The backlash tonight on Facebook, it's been incredible. Because obviously, these guys, 2 European Cups. I get it all the time. And they've been saying to me, who are you going to support if you don't support City anymore? And here's me saying I'm going down to Meadow Lane to get me Notts County shirts. I'm going to have the brush up on my history of Notts County. I remember Jimmy Cyril and all this kind of stuff. So I thought time to start Googling the history books of Notts County and stuff. But just shock, Andy. I know Tom's younger, but for living in the supporting City in the 80s, and this is just absolutely blown my mind. I just can't get my head around it.
I think that's the biggest thing out of everyone. I mean, I don't know whether you heard it when I was just reading David Walker's piece there. Who's a correspondent, a writer, and big City fan, and runs read.com, and that just brought it to light, the words in the letter from Sheikh Mansour, and it was all aimed towards us as fans, and he will never forget you, and we know this. And then the evidence that we witnessed in the last 13 years and everything that's happened and what they've done in the surrounding areas and the community and the investment in Man City Council, and I was so proud to be a Man City fan with everything, because I didn't care about opposition fans going, well, you've never won a champion. I mean, that's just nonsense, tit for tat. I was just so proud of my club. I heard Gary Neville last night, or this morning, no, it was last night, on Monday Night Football, where he said, you know what, look at what Man City have done. Look at what they've done for their area. They've promised to do these things, and they've done it. And yet, you walk around Old Trafford, it's rusting everywhere. What have our owners of Man United ever done for us, like what Sheikh Mansour's done for the city of Manchester and the community and everything? What have they ever done for us? They can't even get rid of the rust on the outside of the stadium. He said it's disgusting. And for me, that made me really proud. But in the same breath, I was so proud of everything that Sheikh Mansour and the board have done. But on the other side, I was absolutely disgusted that it went against everything that I've invested my emotions into as a fan and supported the club. And I have interviewed journalists over the FFP and all that stuff, and I've really stuck my neck on the line, and I've really gone hard against the journalists and all sorts, all of them, and interviewed them and tried to turn some of them, like Jonathan Northcroft, and sort of said it, look at it from a City fan perspective. But for them that to happen, I just felt it was like a stab in the heart.
Yeah, and I mean, my own personal view is that I just think the club just thought to themselves, UEFA, you've dragged us through the courts for these years. Maybe. Is this just our way of saying this is 2 fingers up to UEFA, and we'll go with it. We'll just hope that it goes better than it did, obviously, because it was a major. It's backfired massively on the club, and I've said to people tonight, talk to Leeds fan, and I've mentioned on here, I'm not hanging out the bunting for the owners of Manchester City Football Club. In my eyes, they've tarnished us, not people. They're businessmen at the end of the day. Businessmen, they're in it for the money. They're out to make money. It's what they are businessmen. You can't deny that. But it's our names at the end of the day that is going to be dragged out. I was saying to this Everton fan, when I put my Man City shirt on and walk out onto the street now, we're just going to get abuse. We're just going to physically get abuse off other fans now for the rest of for forever, aren't we? The club's tarnished us. The club and the others. City. I thought City were a bit different to United and Liverpool.
I did. I mean, my thing with that is, we're not in the power position of these people who own football clubs, and certainly not the big hitters. I mean, forget your people who own £40 million stakes in teams and things. I'm talking about billionaires like John W. Henry, with the likes of Sheikh Mansour, with Abramovich. These people are working big business. Adi, I'll bring you on in 1 second, mate. Now, Sheikh Mansour, prior to buying Man City, he bailed out the British government by, with the Barclays deal. Now, he made 1.6 billion in 9 months on that particular deal. Now, in the business circles, the Abramoviches of the world and whatever would be going, that was great, wasn't it? That was a great bit of business. Well, he buys Man City. Why is he buying all these other clubs around the world? Of course, people will say it's sport washing and it's this line. It's business. So for them, they're not real City fans. We know that. Of course, they can. All the rhetoric they can come out with and everything else is fine. But we really thought after the investment, and the investment in the community and everything else was to heighten the profile of the club. But it still benefited the local community. This seems like a complete disconnect between all the decisions that the board and Sheikh Mansour has made, which the fans would all be on board with. This is a massive disconnect. And what the reasons are. Like I said last night, I'd like to know more from the club. I want to see what the full reasons are behind why they committed to the deal. That's my big thing. But let me just quickly, just a few. Hi, Paul. Welcome to the channel. Blue Art says, welcome, Paul. Peter Curry says, King Colin will be smiling down tonight. I'm sure he would. Hi, Paul, says Charlie. Kieran says, hi, Paul. Won't chop your dick off. I really hope that's the case. Hey up, Paul. Says Ronnie, that was. Thoughts on Mourinho? Because Martin's not. Hello, King. Hope you're well. He thinks that's funny. How rude, he says. Go on, quickly. I'm going to bring Addy in. So you were going to say there, Paul?
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I mean, obviously, City as a group, we sold certain amounts of shares into China and stuff. But did we not sell certain amounts of shares into an American investment?
Silver Lake. Yeah, Silver Lake. Yeah. 500 million.
So do you think maybe the club had its arms twisted on that side of things along the way?
Well, yesterday morning, the New York Stock Exchange posted that the news, which is ironic, the timing of the announcement on Sunday, yesterday morning, United shares went up by 230 million.
Yeah. So who sold the shares yesterday and who's made money? Who knows?
But you know
someone's made some money. Someone's made some money out of this, but it's usually in business, isn't it? That somebody will make money out of it.
Who need money, who are in massive debt.
Well, maybe Real Madrid might have to just sell another car park, or
yeah, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
For about 500 million.
Yeah, well, they could do. Addy, welcome to the channel, mate.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you guys? I'm not as excited. I think I'm not as excited as a lot of people are about it.
Okay.
I wasn't like, I thought it was an awful idea from start to finish. I think as soon as we realised Tottenham were being referred to as a big club, we all should have been a little bit concerned. There were red flags there. And a league with no relegation, like, are they crazy? But the main thing for me was that we have to hold these clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona and Man United accountable for their horrible financial decisions. Barcelona should have said to Messi, no, sorry, we can't afford these wages you want. You'll have to leave to find somebody who does, instead of taking out these loans And I think my main issue with the league was there's no punishment for that. That doesn't go anywhere. If there's no relegation, they don't have to deal with that. Whereas a club like City's rewarded for being run so well, the best run club in world football, in my opinion. And it's at the top of the league because of that. And then a club like Arsenal buys all these over 75 five-a-side players from Chelsea. And then they're sliding down the table, and that's just the way it is. So that's the main thing for me. But I'm a little bit concerned because I also feel like with UEFA and the way they've been, isn't it a bit like what flavour poo do you want in your sandwich? Because these Champions League changes are like really quite bad as well. The thing people were so upset about, there is going to be a place for teams that if they don't qualify, they still get in on merit still, but not on merit anymore. That's still in this system, so we should still be concerned. Was this a missed opportunity to really say screw you to UEFA? I think maybe, and obviously, and all these people like Gary Neville, like I wish they'd just be quiet about it. Like they're being held up like heroes, aren't they? And I feel like they've got self-interest as well. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm a little bit with you. I mean, I said this morning on Twitter, and I've said tonight. I think there was, from what I'm gathering and what I'm reading, I might be totally wrong. I have no inside information in the club whatsoever. I'm just reading what everyone else reads and just reading my own opinions into it. But it does seem like this was a shot across the bow to UEFA, and I do believe what Pep Guardiola said tonight hit the nail on the head, which was, UEFA are in this for money, FIFA are in this for money, clubs are in this for money. Everyone's in it for money. The idea that they're not is ridiculous. But we have gone time and time again over the years to UEFA asking for changes, and UEFA just simply will not do it. They'll only do what suits them and what will make them money. If saying, well, we won't have another 100 games in the 2024 is better for players' safety and the teams and everything else. That could lose us $3 billion, but we're all right. We'll lose that money. It's more about player safety, but they won't. They simply won't, because all they're interested in is in that. And for me, maybe it is a shot across the bow to UEFA to say, you better come around the table and you better listen to us, because this is for real. This could happen. It still might happen. You still might wait and see what happens with Liverpool, United, because obviously Agnelli's resigned from Juventus. Ed Woodward's resigned from United. So what's their job roles in the future?
Yeah.
I know they don't need the money like we would do, but I mean, what they're going to do in the future? Because they'll go anywhere. I really don't.
Didn't quite a few of these guys actually resign from their positions in UEFA as well to join this Super League?
They resigned. Yeah, they had to. They clearly had to.
So what are they going to do now? I
have no idea.
They've rolled their dice, haven't they?
You wait. Well, Joe Glazer and Florentino Perez and the others could turn around and say, "Hold on a minute, it's only City and Chelsea. They're only new boys. They're not history clubs. We'll just go to PSG and say, you can join next year, and Bayern, you can join next year, and Porto, or people, if you're going to offer somebody 350 million quid, unless you've got 51% fans owning the clubs are going to go for it. Yeah. And that's the top and bottom of why Dortmund and Bayern are not in this, is because the fans will just not vote for it. If City was owned 51% by the fans, there's no way we would ever have considered it, because the fans would have said no way.
I mean, what happens now? What happens if it still kind of goes ahead? Just that we've pulled out, and Chelsea have. Do they now go knocking on the door of Everton and West Ham and say, "Well, don't suppose you fancy tagging along, do you?"
Well, wouldn't that be interesting after all the Everton fans come out? They're the People's Club. But if Mashiri was actually, Agnelli rings Mashiri and says, City have buggered off. I'll tell you what, do you want a spot? And we'll give you 350 million guaranteed every year, plus more, plus revenue, plus everything else, plus. And they went, yeah, we'll have a bit of that.
Yeah.
Maybe Wrexham will change their minds now, and maybe they might be interested now.
Do you not think though, if they just phrased it like, we want more autonomy from UEFA, we want more funding because of financial downturn, so we're going to make an alternative to the UCL, it would have been treated so much better by everyone.
Absolutely. Definitely. I mean, this was my point. If they would have been open and honest and said, you know what, we are absolutely pissed off with UEFA, we're fed up with them, they don't listen to us, they take the lion's share of everything and give the clubs that are generated, the Big 12 or the Big 15, whatever you want to call them, Dirty Dozen, whatever else. We're the ones who generate your revenue because of advertising, because nobody wants to advertise RB, Leipzig, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's interested in those, but City, Real Madrid, United, Liverpool, Chelsea, whoever, they will bring in the sponsors and the crowds and the overseas subscriptions and everything else. We deserve at least 10, 20% more than what you're paying us. And if you don't, we're fed up with this new Super League, 10 teams in 2 leagues nonsense without any consultation. We're going to form our own. If they would have put that on the table 6 months ago, well, that's it. Everyone can investigate it going, what's the pros, what's the cons? That's a shot across the bow. It's not doing something. It's actually going, we will discuss this. Then it can be on the table for journalists and media and football pundits to discuss for 6 months. That puts the pressure on UEFA for them to say, well, listen, the majority of journalists and sports correspondents and pundits think, actually, a Super League would be a better option than the Champions League. Maybe we do need to get to around the table, and maybe we do need to do something different. Because as it stands at the moment, they won't listen to anybody. They just, while they're still getting their money, they won't listen to anyone. I don't know, Tom.
It's interesting. We'll see what happens in the future because, there's still a long way to go in this. There is a long way to go. Like Paul's just said, we're out. Chelsea are out. But, we've got all these clubs still to announce what they're going to do. I was just saying to my dad before I came on quickly, you look at the people obviously behind it, right? You look at the people behind it. None of them who have got a chairman role or an executive role have left the Super League as it is. So for as long as they don't leave, their plans are absolutely still fine because they can still do it with their plans because. If we were involved in the chairmans and they're all American businessmen, bar Real Madrid's executive, who's obviously doing it. But yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. If one of those guys leaves, if one of those guys departs from it, what's going to happen with it then? And I believe that if it does, get to the point where they do take it, because it will go to court if they could try and carry it on. It always does end up there. I could probably see it going that far because, Real Madrid are in something like £900 million debt. This is the only way they're going to stay afloat as a club. They're not going to give this up easily because,
It's interesting to say that about debt of a club. Yeah. Because Martin sent me something today. Now, I don't know whether this is true, where Martin got it from or whatever, but Martin is on here, so he'll probably say something. But he did send me a message. Maybe it was on my email. Let me just quickly look at it. And he was talking about the fact of apparently there's a couple of payments due from Spurs, and they owe £150 million back to the government and another £150 million back to creditors. And they're $500 million in debt that is being owed very quickly, and there could be talk of insolvency. But obviously, you've got Joe Lewis who would step in and pay that off anyway. He's never going to let Spurs go into insolvency. But massive debt. If they sell their soul and say to this, European Super League, look, you don't have to give us as much money. Let us just go in and we'll buy get us in there. And because you can't understand why Spurs. I know they've got a big stadium, big brand new stadium, but you can't understand why Spurs ever got into that. But anyway, we've got Abdallah's on.
Hi guys, hope you're well. Hope you're well. Right. I had a really tough day I had to control my emotions. I was fasting and everything, trying not to swear and get angry because that's what this holy month does. Otherwise, it breaks the whole concept. But yeah, I hope everyone's well, and great news that we haven't joined the cartel Super League, because we'll be just as bad as them. Just joining them, it just makes us look bad. Unfortunately, I always get a lot of slander from my friends, and especially my dad. My dad's a Liverpool fan, and especially as my dad hasn't got a good view of the owners in general, because my family are Arabs, and of course there's like a bad concept around Arabs in general, and I see it at the same time, but at the same time it reaches to a certain extent where you don't cross the line into like racial abuse and stuff like that, because I've been called names as in like a dirty Arab or a terrorist or something like that. But I understand what people's views, but you can't step over the mark when it comes to speaking about people's faiths and beliefs. Yeah.
So I take it you're obviously you've been fasting. It's been a bit of a nightmare for you. This is some good news for you.
I'm really happy. Because
sunset.
News
has come out.
To be honest, this year it hasn't been as hard as previous years, but I'm glad. Like I'm getting through it. It's not as difficult. It's just uni stressful, but yeah, I'm enjoying City. I thought I was going to have to be done with them and then not watch them and probably support my local team in Holland because I'm half Dutch. Final. City played them a couple of years ago in the Champions League, I think. Yeah. So that's my boyhood club, to be honest, when I lived in Holland. But yeah.
Well, there you go. Here's a question for you all. If this European Super League went ahead, or it still might go ahead, or goes ahead, and City didn't backtrack, and we still let's be honest, I don't know unless anyone can publish anything different. I've still not had an official statement from City, or not me, but I mean I've not read an official statement from City, so I'm still waiting for. I've only read what's on Sky News and Twitter and everything else. But if City went ahead with this, a simple yes or no. Thomas, a season ticket holder, seen you home and away, Wembley and everything else. Would you continue to follow Manchester City from a financial perspective? Not about watching a pay-per-view TV subscription, which it might have been, and we don't know what's going to happen with it. But would you have continued your season ticket in whatever format it was going to come in? Would you still subscribe to the club in a financial perspective, or would you just follow them from afar?
I'd follow them from afar. I would have done. It'd be a very, very tough thing because, as you know, when COVID's not here, City's my life basically. Going everywhere. It's just one of them. But I just couldn't do it. It's just one of them. I just could not do it. I couldn't get myself motivated to go and watch. The same teams every season. With nothing other than you won't get relegated, you won't get promoted, nothing. There'd be nothing within it, and the fact of the reason behind that league, if I was going to watch it or something like that, it's there for the money and it's there for greed. So they've got their extra money from going over there. So why should, if it did happen, why would I and my dad and everybody who I go with give our money to them to just boost their financial backing and pay the rent of the stadium and stuff like that, because that's all it'll be going to. It won't be going to anything other than them. It won't be going to help the club like it does now.
That question was on the assumption that we would have been kicked out of the Premier.
Yeah.
Whether that would happen, we don't know. But I mean, that was on the assumption that it was City wouldn't be in the domestic cup competitions, wouldn't be in the Premier League, and would be in this. What for me, I do think it's inevitable. I'll tell you, I do think it is inevitable at some point. Whether it'll be in my lifetime, I don't know. But I do think this is the next step, unless UEFA really relent. I think it'll be the next step of a European Super League moving on to a World Club Super League at some point if it's successful. But Paul, what are your thoughts on that? Same question. I mean, if City hadn't relented and they were kicked out of the Premier League, because I do think that makes a difference. If they were still in the Premier League and still allowed to play this midweek competition, closed shop competition, I think it makes it a little bit different. But if they were kicked out of the Premier League, would you still continue to financially support City watching them in this tournament?
Gosh, honestly, I did say that the fans need to vote with their pockets and their feet by not turning up to the, supporting the club, as in going to the games, not going to the shop, buying merchandise and stuff. But does hitting them merchandise wise and season tickets, does it really affect them financially as much as we think it does? Especially when there's so much money on offer to compensate for it. Because if I don't go, someone else will go. Do you know what I mean? So me and Tom could say we're not going to go, but there'll always be someone who will go, won't they? Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, Paul, is that just because you don't go to the game to watch it, the format seems to be very TV subscription based.
Yeah,
for
and
the 50,000 to go to the stadium for a home game, and the 3,000-4,000 that go away, they might get 150,000 around the world paying a subscription fee of, like Gary Neville said last night.
Yeah, exactly.
You could end up with 150 million people subscribing to a channel, and they pay £1, one single pound for that club to watch the game. That's 150 million quid for not City, but a United or a Liverpool with their worldwide fan base. If they pay £1 to watch a game on a Disney Channel or Netflix or something, Netflix are worth like £500 billion. They only have to say, well, I'll tell you what, you can watch the game, £1. That's all you have to pay. £1, you tap it into your phone, you can do whatever. 150 million United fans around the world, or Liverpool and United fans. Well, that's 150 million quid for your own TV station per game. Per game, not per year.
Yeah. I mean, this was always the interesting thing for me about this whole thing. City had quite a lot to lose along the way for me, because we haven't got that fan base around the world. We're going to be in it. Was this about growing the fan base? Is this their way that they were going to make the money down the line and grow it like Liverpool and Man United and clubs like that? I mean, like I've said today to somebody at work, if you take away the hardcore like your Tom, Andy, Martin and the guys who got the season tickets, I haven't got a season ticket and stuff, but I know my friend who lives in Nottingham, he spends 1,500 quid and drives up and goes all the time, and I go up whenever I can and stuff like that. But if you take that away from the grounds on a Saturday or Sunday or Monday, whatever, how much more of a fan base have we got? Okay, we've got fans in America, Australia and stuff like that, but it's nothing compared to Arsenal and Man United and Liverpool and stuff like that. It's nowhere near. So when you're saying about people subscribing to watch a City game, so City versus, say, Atletico Madrid, how many people are going to tune into that? It's not going to be Liverpool fan base, is it?
Well, you're going to have to look at that and go, well, hold on. If you offer it for £1, and let's say it's at the Etihad, well, you've got 54,000 if it was full, times an average of 50 quid. Can we sell more than that? Can we sell more than £250 million worth of? Probably not. I don't know. But you will get people who will sign up to it. I'm not saying it'll be £1 a game, but I'm saying you'll have people on different tiers that will sign up for 25 quid, and it'll be you get to watch every game, and it doesn't matter whether you watch it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to just go, well, if you want to watch it, it's £1. You can say it's a £5 for your team, or it's a £25, and you can watch every game. You start adding up 150 million, 200 million viewers around the world, that suddenly becomes a hell of money before your sponsors are even.
I think another thing that disappoints me about the whole situation is the fact that the club, I mean, it isn't that long ago we were playing bloody Grimsby, I remember being in the Platt Lane stand and we were struggling at the bottom of the old third tier of football, and Kevin Horlock scored a goal at the Platt Lane and he come jumping into the crowd and the atmosphere went up, and we went on to get promoted 2 years on the trot and stuff like that. We forget, the club forget that we've gone through them moments, and they just don't understand any of that. That's just lost on that. And that's why when you say about where do you stand about giving your money and supporting the club and going forward and stuff, it's very hard to pull away from what you've known for like myself 40 plus years. It's people say, well, you should just walk away, and you should, and I feel like walking away, but you're not going to walk away, are you?
No, and it is would I walk away? No, I wouldn't. I would never. I mean, there was arguments on Twitter today about, I can't believe people would support another club. I wouldn't support another club. I might go and watch I live in Chester. I might go and watch Chester FC on a Saturday or a midweek on a Friday night or whatever. I might go and do that rather than going to the Etihad. But I mean, I still support Man City. I'm not going to support another Premier League club or anything.
Oh, God, man.
I might go and watch Malaga, which I have done. I have while I've been here. I mean, I've watched. I used to. When I lived in High Lane in Hazel Grove, sort of Stockport way. I used to go with a load of guys from the pub. 1 week I'd with all City fans. I'd go to Stockport County, and then we'd go, to the Etihad. To Main Road it was back then, but we'd follow them home and away. Went on all the run through the League Cup with Stockport County to Middlesbrough. Went away to Middlesbrough in the second leg at Middlesbrough. And so I still follow football. I would never support another Premier League club. I mean, I don't understand that, why people would go support the game. I still support them. I just wouldn't follow them financially, probably less emotionally, Abby. I don't know. What do you think?
I was just going to ask, but would you support another Premier League club if City were in the Premier League?
No. Never. No, not for me. No, I just wouldn't. I'd go and watch like a Now, if Chester FC suddenly went into the Premier League, I might have a bit of a, hold on, if I followed these all the way through their journey for the last 10, 15 years, and if I lived that long, now it might be a bit different if City were in the Premier League. But no, I would never switch my allegiance to another Premier League club. It'd be a local lower league team I would follow. But that's everyone's choice. That's everyone's choice. Everyone has that choice to make, don't we?
I did just want to, on the point about how City's fan base and growing, I do think the way that people become fans has changed quite a lot. Because why are United this massive global brand? Well, because their dominance came at the right time. The Premier League just started. That's basically it.
And the manager, they stuck with Alex Ferguson at that time when they could quite easily have got rid of him. In this day and age, he would have been a Jose Mourinho, would be gone. But in them days, they just kept him for that extra year.
The amount, because I work with young people, the amount of young people I've asked, why do you support them? And they go, because they were the best team on FIFA, and so I just played them, and then I started becoming a fan. Whereas like 20 years ago, you supported City because of some sort of familial connection a lot of the time. Like there was some sort of connection to the ground, or there was some sort of connection to the place. Now it's totally changed. International fans are adopting it because of things like FIFA. And maybe this could have been an opportunity for City to grow their brand. Maybe they knew that. But I do think we need to acknowledge that, well, actually, City were on the outside looking into these clubs for a long time. And then we got there, and the implication is that we shut the door behind us again, which felt like the opposite of what we should do, really.
So, financially, would you support the club? The question to you, Addy, as well. Would you, if this would have gone ahead? We're still waiting to hear. I mean, let's face it, we are only taking what Sky Sports, which obviously they published it so it sounds true. But if City would have been pushed out of the Premier League and it was this Super League, would you have invested your time, effort, money, or whatever emotions into Manchester City in this Super League only?
I think I would, but only because I'm a very weak-willed person. I think I'd give it pretty quickly.
At least you're honest. I mean, I probably, and like I said last night, I said on the vlog last night, maybe after time and things settled down and whatever else, we'd probably grow like the Premier League. You know, I transitioned from the old First Division into when Premier League took over, and everyone was like, "What's this all about?" No, this is about money, and this I don't like this. But eventually, you sort of grown used to it. Now we're arguing about us wanting to stay in the Premier League. Never mind what it used to be like in the 80s and sort of early 90s. So, Abdallah, what are your thoughts? Would you have still invested your time and money and effort into City if they got kicked the Premier League?
Maybe. Money, no. Especially now, I'm unemployed for nearly 3 years. But yeah, I'd probably still watch them, like not as regularly as I am now. But
and if they said to you it would have been £25 a month to watch all the City games,
no chance. I don't have the money. I have no income. I live with my parents. I'm 21 years old, and I'm at uni, so it's life's a struggle. But you take things as a day as it comes. To be honest, for me, Man City was an escapism to watch the games. Of course, every fan gets angry and stuff like that, but that's just the emotions of the game. I fell in love with players like Vincent Kompany, Yaya Toure, Aguero, all of those players. Like, it shows from players from different backgrounds and just building themselves up, not just buying the most popular player for ridiculous amounts of money as United have in the past. So, and I just like the colour, I like the badge, even the eagle one I liked when I started supporting them. So it would be hard to not stop watching them, but financially, I would have stopped.
To add to what Abdallah said, because Florentino Perez said 16 to 25-year-olds aren't interested anymore in football. And isn't part of the reason because of what Abdallah said, like, people are struggling with jobs, young people are struggling to get off their feet. And now we're saying, well, look at all these licenses. You've got a BT license, you've got to get a Sky Sports license. How are they meant to follow football if it costs so much to be a fan just to watch the games?
Like this year, I went the first time to the stadium round about July 10th. Of course, I live in London and it's quite far. So my dad said he has a job in Manchester to pick up cars, so he works for a dealership. So he said, "Why do you want to come so you can get to go see the Manchester City Stadium?" So I went round about. I wanted to go into the shop, but I didn't make it in time. But I took a couple of pictures round about 10th of July when the restrictions were lifted. So I went with my dad and took a couple of pictures, and I just felt so happy. Just taking pictures. It doesn't mean I have to go inside the stadium, but I just enjoy being around there and taking pictures and making some memories, to be honest. And I'm very thankful of that, even if it was not going inside the stadium or buying any merch. It's just, it seems so little, but it means a lot.
Well, we've got another couple of people who wanted to join us, but it's probably getting a bit late in the vlog now. But what I will say is that we'll definitely thank you so much for sending us. We had Samuel and Jack, Samuel Hills and Jack wanted to try and get involved, but obviously we've got Paul and Abdallah and Adi on as well, so we can't really add any more. Otherwise, everyone becomes like midgets. I'm allowed to say midgets now, or small people, and we can't really see everybody and things. And what we end up is a full round robin. But thank you so much. What we will do to Jack and Samuel is we will get you on maybe a vlog tomorrow night. Maybe Martin might join. Maybe after the game tomorrow night, Martin's doing the live watch along tomorrow. Martin, are you still on? Give us a time. What time are you going live if you can, buddy? he'll post it on here. But maybe Martin after the game tomorrow night, maybe Martin bring you on for like 15, 20 minutes or so in the post-match. Maybe that's an idea. But I do apologise, I couldn't get everybody in. We did have, like I said, we had 5 people asking to come on straight away. I want to say a massive thank you for you coming on. Finally, I will go around the room. I'll start with Addy, go to Abdallah, go to Paul, and Tom has the final word on this. What's going to happen? What's going to happen, in your opinion, from now on? Obviously, like I said, there's no official statement from Manchester City. We're still waiting for anything that is absolutely concrete. But what do you see happening next? Because obviously there's a meeting that will go on, no doubt, tomorrow. Probably City will be around the table with the Premier League clubs and everything, probably going, I'm really sorry, this is the reasons why. Chelsea will probably be there saying the same thing, and it wasn't about you, it was about UEFA, and it was about this, that, and the other, but things need to change. Maybe, I said last night, maybe it might be a good thing for football. Maybe it might get clubs now speaking openly about money and finances and everything else. But what do you see envisaging, what do you envisage happening with this whole Super League? Because nobody else has pulled out except for City. Well, not official yet, but Chelsea. Addy?
I think historically Khaldoon has been very transparent about things like that, so I think we will get something from him, from the club, or like an interview, and I think we'll be there for it, but I'm not too sure that will. But I do think...
Is finished? Is that the end of the game?
But I think this will get swept under the rug for now. We'll forget about it in a few days, and then in a few years' time, we will begin the great dance again of the Super League is coming again, and then it'll just keep happening, and it will eventually get through. It's inevitable.
Chris says, I feel sorry for Sir Alan, who was right behind the European Super. He wasn't from the messages I got this morning. There was lots of started in F and ended in F. He wasn't happy. Rather a whistle than a buzzing.
We know what that is. We know what that is.
That's back to Alan. Abdallah, I'm a bit with you, Addy. I don't think we've, maybe not for now. I don't think we've heard the end of this. I really don't. Abdallah?
I think now the backlash of Chelsea and City, I reckon they won't ever enter Super League. I don't know about the other clubs, but definitely Chelsea and City will stay put where they are and still participate in the competitions that are available. To be honest, and I hope they do. I would forgive Khaldoon and the board, and see what happens in the summer. And you can forgive them, but not forget what they've done, and not being as transparent as they are. Because I think you can forgive people for anything, how they've impacted you in any sort of negative way. But you can never forget what people have done to you in any way, shape, or form. But we'll see what happens in the summer. But I reckon I'm not sure about the other. I think the clubs to watch out for are the American clubs, American-owned clubs, and the clubs that have financial difficulties but have high in stature. But yeah.
Well, listen, Jeff Stevens, thank you so much for the super chat. Really do appreciate it, buddy. And Abdallah, thank you very much for the comments as well. Yeah, I agree. It is, this was the biggest disappointment for me, Paul, was for everything. I said it last night, said it again tonight. Everything that I just thought we were just owned and run by amazing people that had said everything. I read the quote from Sheikh Mansour when he bought the club, and it was about the fan base. And I just thought, couldn't ask for more perfect owners and the board, and they've done amazing. You can't criticize them for anything except for this. And that's why I'd like to hear from them what is the real story behind this, because I can only think there is something else, because for them to do what they've done
Yeah, I'm with you, Andy. I'm with you 100%. But there's what's that club statement, right? I'm with you, Andy. For me personally, I think there's a lot of damage been done here. This cuts deep within. Maybe it's because I'm old school and I've supported City for so many years. There's a lot of damage been done, and it's going to be us that are going to be picking up the flack down the line from other supporters. It's a poor show, personally, I think, from the club. They've got a lot of explaining to do. Regardless of what they say, they went with the others. Do you know what I mean? They went with the group. They decided it was time to go and see what the money was there. They were tempted. They did go with it. At the end of the day, they went with the other clubs, pulling out now. They've done the right thing, but like I say, the damage is done. I'm not waving a scarf tonight thinking this is a victory for anything. This is still a bad situation in time. And like the other guys have said, 2 years' time, less time, this is all going to come back, and City will have to be part of this. And that's just what it is. Things have got to change. The Champions League is it's not what it should be anyway, in my eyes. It should be champions, the champions of the country. I mean, Liverpool winning another European Cup off the back of being crap, getting battered by City and other teams and finishing lower down the league, and they go and win a European Cup. And you think, even when City have got in third or fourth place, not that it's happened very often recently, but to me, I want to win it as the champions of my country.
Yeah.
Win the league, then go on and win it. It's like if we win it this season, you think to yourself, we weren't quite champions though, were we, of our own country, but we're going to if we pick up the trophy, it's going to be sweet. But, UEFA wanted this bigger league, this bigger thing to make more money, and they're adding more teams to make more money. And unless it shrinks back to what it was, and we go back to the old European Cup Winners' Cup, UEFA Cup, and Champions of Europe, it'll never be right in my eyes. But like I say, there's a lot of damage been done today and over the weekend, and a lot of bridges to be, built here, especially with the fans.
And I'm sure. If Khaldoon is empathetic as we think he is, I'm sure he will be making an apology to the fans.
Maybe groveling. Sorry, I think they need to grovel. This is. I think it's poor. From the
I think we need to hear more. I do think there's something more to this. But I do think an apology, or if you want to say groveling, Paul, or whatever, I do think that will happen. But I do think there's something deep seated in this. There's something a bit more sinister for them to pull out so quickly.
If he doesn't mention UEFA in his apology, and this is a backlash against UEFA, then anything else than that, in my eyes.
This is what I think Pep's press conference today sort of set precedent for what now has been, we can confirm as official, have been put on the website. That is from Rob Pollard at Manchester City, says Manchester City Football Club can confirm that is formally enacted the procedures to withdraw from the group developing plans for the European Super League. And that is that. There's no more on the statement. Well, there you go.
That sounds like we only got, it's like building a house. We only got to the planning stage, but we weren't really going to go with it, because if it got turned down, we were just going to walk away from it. The planning stage.
If you believe the rumours, they only got invited on Friday to this announcement on Sunday.
For me, it seemed to me, if you can't beat them, join them. Or that's what it seemed to me. They don't want to be left behind.
No.
And I have such a poor quality. I would have rather stayed with all the other clubs, to be honest. What does it matter? It's not guaranteed we're going to win the competition. And no relegation, no, unless you win it. That's the only.
I don't mind. a European Super League. I mean, I'm not against the concept of the whole thing. And certainly I'm against this closed shop thing. You know, all right, there's this 5 teams could qualify from different leagues and blah, blah, blah. I'm not against a different competition because you only have to, you know, you watch the videos. I'm absolutely against the current format of the Champions League. I hate it with a passion. And until it goes back to where it's the champions, it'll never go back to that.
Exactly.
There were rumours.
But I'm against it. I am absolutely against it. I've hated it every year that we've been in it. I just do not like the competition. I've got no interest in it. If we won it this year, great. We celebrate because it just gets everybody else off our back. We've won one. Yeah, what we do, great. Let's move on. Premier League every day for me until it becomes the champions only.
There were rumours.
Carry on, Abdullah.
There were rumours of I don't know if it was true or not, but of titles being stripped if we joined this Super League, records being stripped, so there would be no 100-point season, 98-point season, no treble season.
We don't know the truth behind that.
Yeah, of course.
We don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, if it does happen again, you can know with certainty that City are going to be there because City will be the best.
Oh, yeah.
And if that's the cost, they will be there.
This is the shot across the bow to UEFA. This is unless you change, give us a couple of years. If it doesn't go ahead, it still might go ahead without City and Chelsea. And they might say, well, go on then, PSG. Come on, put your money where your mouth is. If you want to come in it. This still might go ahead. It might not collapse like people are thinking. It might go ahead. And, you know, obviously, that's not great because we want to play United in derbies twice a season in the Premier League. And, you know, that's if. I mean, we could be made absolute fools here and they could all join the Super League and still be allowed to play in the Premier League next year. And City have gone and pulled out this Super League and are now doing it for moralistic purposes. And how stupid do we look financially when they're pulling in 350, 500 million every single year? And we now have said no. And the Premier League have got not a leg to stand on to kick us out of the Premier League. So there is so much more to run with this one. This is far from over. Now,
I say 2 nights ago, I was dreaming of Man City being back in the upper division, playing Grimsby, and thinking, "Oh God, I'd love those days to be back." I mean, I mean, what is that all about? I should be dreaming, Real Madrid away in the Champions League. Instead, I'm thinking, "Oh God, I'd love to be playing Grimsby in the old second division."
Absolutely. I mean, I listened to somebody on Talk Sport today, and they just thought he was a City fan. And I just thought, he claimed to be like 30-year football. He's been at 30-year seasons older, and this, that, and the other. And he was going on and on and on and on and on about this and competitive. And I was thinking, and the money, and what if we don't get the money, and what if we don't? And I'm thinking, well, you know what? I don't think I've had, apart from winning trophies, I don't think I've had better days in my life than the days when I was following City at Main Road. I don't think I've had better day. I've had obviously brilliant moments, and I've seen the most amazing football. If I want to take it from a footballing perspective, I've never seen football like it. And I love Pep Guardiola. David Silva's my favourite all-time player. Blah blah blah, all these things. But as a fan, apart from the only time I've walked out of, honestly, the only time since running Man City Fan TV, which is 4.5 years, the only time I've walked out of the Etihad going, what a game. The Etihad I'm talking about, not Old Trafford. But the Etihad is when we got beat in the Champions League by Spurs. That leg. I just was like, what a game. It was just the most amazing game, even though we got beat and we were knocked out. I was just flabbergasted by it. I was so buzzing because the fans were going mental, and it was the atmosphere in the South Stand was amazing, and it was just I walked out absolutely buzzing, even though we'd lost. I haven't had days like that since I was at Main Road.
Yeah,
Normal games, not finals and things like that. I've had days like that since I was at Main Road.
Yeah, exactly. So, you're right. Yeah, like I say, I mean, being in the Platt Lane, and I just remember Corlock jumping into the crowd and celebrating. And we were in the third tier of football, and this was like the best moment I'd ever had.
And
it's just bizarre.
I'm not one for harping back to the old days because Main Road was a shithole. It was a shithole. But it was our shithole, I always say. It was ours. But it was ours. But it was the atmosphere and the camaraderie and everything. And the danger in those days, with opposition fans and all of these type of things. And away days were dangerous and all these type of things. But I haven't had the excitement apart from cup finals. And if that's all it's about, winning a trophy, for me, I'm not bothered about. I'm really not bothered about a European Super League type of. I do think it's where it's going. I do think it will end up there. Maybe not for now.
Do you think we've reached the promised land with City and it's not quite how we thought it would be?
Oh, I cannot. I'd be really disingenuous if I didn't say that I haven't enjoyed the success. I would be.
I think it's these moments.
It's been amazing. I've never seen. I've not in my lifetime. I was. 77 was my first game. I didn't see the great Bell Summerby. I saw Bell at the end of his career. I didn't see him in his pomp, and so I never saw those heydays. I didn't. So for me, this is the greatest period. And my kids growing up started off at just when we moved to the City of Manchester Stadium. It's like 4 and 5 and 6 year olds, and they saw crap. And it was like rubbish. It was, even then, it was rubbish football. Never mind what I saw in my lifetime. So they saw rubbish, but now I'm pleased for them that they've seen the success. And I'm pleased with the success. Of course I am. And I love everything that Sheikh Mansour's done and Khaldoon and the board and the community and everything else that goes with it. And it just doesn't bring as much excitement for me as it did going to games years ago. It doesn't. There are occasions, there are finals, there are certain games and certain big victories. And like I said, that 4-3, that loss against Tottenham, for me, I walked out of there buzzing, absolutely buzzing, because I thought it was the most amazing game of football and atmosphere I'd been in that stadium, because the stadium generally is average for on a lot of games. It's average in certain sections, and I think the safe standing will be a great thing. And if it might not have been, but in the future, I hope it will be, and a bit of changes and things like that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just reminiscing, getting too old. Yeah. Maybe I need to. Maybe it's time to leave it to the youngsters to take it forward, and us old fossils. Yeah, maybe we just need to leave it to them, because we like to.
Old, Andy.
Yeah. Isham, thank you so much for the super chat. United fan here. Cheers, boys. Have a beer on me. Thank you very much, mate. Do appreciate it. Let's just hope you can sort your. At least you got one of your bad apples out of your club. You need to get your own out.
What we've gained from this.
Go on, Abdallah. Go on, and then we'll come to Tommy's.
No worries. Cheers. I think what I've been watching a load of football content. I just love a range from different other fans, to be honest. I think we've gained the respect from the American-owned football clubs. They said, well, they're the ones that are ruining football truly, not us, because we were the first ones to exit this and to actually what we've actually done for the footballing community in general. So the fact that we've backed out and the fact that their owners are ruining football, they've taken back everything they've said about us. I think some, not all, but I think we have some respect from rival fans. They have more respect for us than they have for their owners now, to be honest. And I think that's what we've gained, to be honest, from this experience.
Yeah, Bill Smith said, best shithole in the whole wide world. Yeah, it was ours, wasn't it, mate? It was ours. And that's the thing, is we had that Section says standing in the kippax, avoiding the piss. That's what it was about. But it was ours, and it was. You didn't care whether you came out with piss all over the bottom of your jeans or whatever, because you were too involved in the singing and the chanting and the atmosphere of everything. And yeah, I mean, as I said, maybe I'm just an old fart, and I shouldn't really reminisce of the old days. But like I said, it was a shithole, but it was ours. And I just hope the next generation, if we do stay in the Premier League and things progress, I do hope that singing section comes in, and I do hope that the younger fans take that. What I felt back in the sort of late 70s, 80s when I was in sort of my younger teens and things like that, and have that feeling. Have that emotion that we walk, like I said, and I'm sure maybe fans do walk out after a 3-1 win and go, oh, I'm so buzzing and so things like that. Maybe they do. Maybe it's just me. I just go, yeah, it's an alright game, things like that. But anyway, Tom, over to you. Final say before we say goodbye to the guests.
Yeah, just it'll be interesting to see what happens. That's the next thing now. We've quit. We've got some sort of a little bit of a statement, which is just confirming that we're leaving it. But it'll be interesting how the club are going to try and build the bond back with the fans. That's the thing that I'm most bothered about. That's the thing that's most important to me. I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that stadium when it's all back to normal, knowing that I'm still got some sort of bond with that club that I did when I left that before COVID started. Because before that, it was brilliant. This is a little, dip in the journey that we're having with these guys, and it's the first dip in the journey for 14 years or whatever it is now, which is whatever it is. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Will it keep going ahead with all these others? We'll soon find out. Will it eventually happen? Possibly so, like Addy said. But yeah, for now, we just celebrate that we've taken the U-turn. We're supporting the other 14 clubs, now 16 clubs with us and Chelsea. And yeah, try and keep football for as normal for as long as possible, because that's the most important thing right now. Keeping it as we love it.
Absolutely. Well, Yusuf, if you didn't know, he's a Liverpool fan. Yusuf, is he a United fan? United fan, is he, Yusuf?
Yusuf is a Liverpool fan. He's a Liverpool fan.
Yusuf,
he's not the brightest.
He's not the brightest, but bless him, he does like. The meeting between the Super League clubs is over. FC Barcelona and Atletico Madrid have decided to stay in the Super League. Manchester City have left, and Chelsea still have doubts. That because we've been doing this. Still, next generation fan are taking over. Yeah, and maybe that's the right way to go. Maybe that's the right way to go. That is the right way to go.
Reading the UEFA statements makes me feel like we might have made a mistake. It's enough to make you want to gag, honestly.
Really?
It says they have shown great intelligence in listening to many voices. It takes great courage to admit a mistake, but I have never doubted they have the ability.
Yeah. They've not doubted much about Man City over the last 5-6 years, I think. Unbelievable. I guess it's the standard statement they have to say, because it's a pat on the back to City in the hope that maybe Spurs and Arsenal might do the same thing. Who knows? Martin says, thanks to the lads tonight. You've all been amazing. Thanks, and hope you come back on again. You've been brilliant. You're more than welcome.
Cheers, Martin.
Send us an email, Galaxy, whoever that is. Getting the kip-outs early so you can get back against the barrier. Daniel says, let's hope we get an apology for the absolute shit show that was. Well, let's hope so. Let's hope. I don't know whether I don't know. Me and Addy wants a grovelling apology, and so does Paul wants a grovelling apology. I'm not sure we'll get a grovelling one, but I do think we deserve an apology. We do. The older generation are the reason this club still exists, and the owners should be grateful for them. Section says next gen needs to up your game. Would have been outsung by 35k. That was here in the old days. Yes, but stadium is different to what the road was, and I do think it does make a difference. And I do hope when the standing section comes in, and we can hopefully get this big wall. The younger fans can really take it on to what it was like in the main road days. Whether they will or not, well, it's over to them, isn't it? It's over to Tom's in South Stand. It's up to his generation and everyone else. And
there's plans. Don't you worry. There's lots of things going on.
You're friends with the 1894 group, and I'm sure there is lots of plans for it. It does need to happen. We know it needs to happen.
Yeah.
There's too many times City fans will say, there's a section of 4 or 5 of us who start singing and other people are all just looking, and that shouldn't happen. That's not football for me. It isn't. You can go on away days, everyone's singing, everyone's involved, and it is bouncing.
Safe standing needs to be at most clubs, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think
don't even have it.
I think it will happen. I do think it will happen. But anyway, maybe that's a discussion for another day. Finally, Ross says maybe it's a clever PR stunt. Join and leave after 2 days because we listen to the fans. There you go. Dupes is on. Oh, he's there. He is. Dupes is on. Great stream. Couldn't comment much because I was listening to the stream. Peace. You're welcome, mate. Charlie Everett says, I started singing in the Colin Bell stand. People told me to shut up.
Don't surprise me.
Probably Martin was probably one.
Yeah.
Only joking, Martin. I'm only joking. You wait for President gave us a shout out. Whoopie do. All lasted longer. Still think Man City Fan TV FC is the way to go. Get lost, you. But anyway, this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. I want to say it's longer than usual. I thought it was going to be about half an hour to an hour. But we threw the gauntlet out there and we said, look, fans, you make loads of comments. We appreciate all your comments on here. Why don't you come and join us? Don't just make comments on here. Come and join us so we can have a proper chat. And we've had Paul coming on. So, Paul, thank you so much, buddy.
Pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Just got a lot of aggression off my mind today and stuff like that. It's been a good to blow out a bit. But thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me on. Basically, thank you.
This is therapy for us. This is why we do it. It's therapy.
Dreaming of Grimsby.
Absolutely. And you're more than welcome, all of you. You're more than welcome to come on again. Just send us an email. Addy, thank you so much. It's nice to meet you, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Andy, Tom, Martin, Chris and Kurt, and all the work you do. I love this channel. It's a bit of a home away from home for me, and during lockdown, a bit of an oasis. So thank you. You worked so hard as well. So thanks for that, guys.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. And again, same thing. You're always welcome on, buddy. Anytime, just let us know. And Abdallah, nice to meet you.
It was nice meeting you. Great content. And sorry if I feel a bit shy or I just have a bit of low confidence. But yeah, I love the content you're doing. Keep what you're doing and just keep going. And we've proved the rivals wrong. We have fans, and we've gained their respect.
Well, listen, thank you so much, guys, for coming on. I do appreciate it. And like I said, you're more than welcome to come on anytime you want. Just send us an email, or we'll do the same as we did tonight and just throw it as a shout out, and you can come on whenever you want. But anyway, this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. Before I go, I do want to quickly say a massive thank you to the patrons of the channel. That's Iota Thompson. He joined last night. Thank you so much. Sean Fogarty, Philip Ward, Malcolm Horner, Ozzy, Charlie Everett, and Ronnie Beaver. Don't forget, you can, if you want to.
One more question.
Sure.
Is Patreon the paying, is it monthly or is it yearly?
It's monthly. No, it's monthly. Yeah, it's monthly.
How much is it?
There's 3 tiers. There's a £5 supporting tier that gets you access to the FNS.
All right. Thank you.
There's a £15 that gives you access to all the.
All right, no worries.
We just put the video on for the patrons for the Melbourne City derby, which Alan and Ross did a fantastic job. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And again, if you want to be jealous about fans in a stadium when they're jumping up and down, the noise is amazing. And there's interviews with the United fans, the City fans, and Victory fans, and all sorts. So that's on the Patreon channel if you want to. But listen, you don't have to join. There'll be plenty of content free on the channel. But if you want to support the channel, then you're more than welcome to do so. But we do want to say a massive thank you to those who have supported the channel in that way, but you don't have to. So if you're not a subscriber, make sure you hit subscribe, hit that bell icon, and make sure your settings are set to public, not private. That way you'll be notified. We'll probably be back tomorrow when the fallout to tonight's news, when hopefully we might get proper full statement from the club. But if we're not doing a vlog about the European Super League, don't forget Martin will be live doing a watch along Villa tomorrow night. Tom?
Thursday night as well, guys, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Make sure that. Yeah, it'll still be on. Don't worry.
Is it 9 o'clock again?
It will be. Yeah, we'll probably be doing a player ratings after the Villa because of the Villa game. So we'll probably do something. And I'm trying to get someone on. I might do a little bit of a predictions thing at the end of the show. I'm going to see if I can get a certain person on that I did a predictions thing for last week and see if he'll come on. So that might have a little bit extra content to add to the stream for for Thursday.
Absolutely.
On, King Quadzi coming on. That's what my money's on.
well, we have tried. Trust me, but it ain't going to happen. I've given up on that one, even though Martin would just go up and play it. Anyway, listen, take care. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you to these guys. I really do appreciate them coming on. And like I said, if you do want to come on, maybe tomorrow night, I'll have to speak to Martin because it's not my live vlog tomorrow, the watch along. Martin will be live about half an hour before kick-off tomorrow night. So come over and join Martin, and maybe he'll invite a few of you on tomorrow. The guys, I do apologise, like I said, Jack Lee and Samuel, I do apologise, but obviously we've got 3 other guests on and we can't fit any more than 5, otherwise it gets a bit congested. But don't forget, if you want to, send us an email. You know the email anyway by now. We've been saying it for 3.5, 4 years anyway. But take care. Have a great evening. It's great news. City are out of it. Let's hope Chelsea and the others follow suit. And there's official statements for those clubs. And we'll see where it takes us. We'll see you soon.